Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful start to the, or unofficial start to summer here, being in June. We got some great, I think, ideas to make you more money in the typically slow doldrums of summer without a lot of work. So stay tuned for that. First, I want to talk about some things that are happening here. It's from the Motley Fool. For the first time in 23 years, the S&P 500 is displaying an ominous warning to Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrials and NASDAQ composites have bounced substantially from their 2022 bear market lows. So it's up, right? Market's doing great right now. An increasingly smaller group of companies is powering the broader market high. Near market gyrations are a little concerned if you have long-term marketing mindset. Well, I want to talk about that too. So the last time this happened, the S&P 500 topped during the dot-com bubble and subsequently lost almost half of its value. Regardless of how you invest in, the pace of change of Wall Street is something to marvel at. In 2021, the angels Dow Jones and S&P 500 and NASDAQ were regularly notching off new all-time closing highs, but just 1 year later, in 2022, all three indexes were mired in a bear market, delivering their worst full return since the global crisis. This year, the script just flipped once more. Now, the Dow's outperformed those other two markets in 2022, is effectively flat year to date. So May 29th, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ did surge 9.5% and 24%. Respectively. But here's the thing, even though the bulls are running, looks can be deceiving. So what's the problem? Anybody guess what the problem is with this surge? Before I turn the screen, I've actually given you a hint already. So what's the problem? Overconfidence, I'd agree with that, Larry. That's not the problem we're talking here, but you're right. With the S&P 500 hitting a 9-month high this past week, it would appear the worst of the bear market is over. However, a closer look at the breadth of the S&P 500 reveals a different story. During a true bull market, we typically see a wide assortment of stocks taking part in the upside. This means large cap, mid cap, small cap, the most sectors, industries are all rallying. But as you can see in the tweet below, Michael Cantro, Chief Marketing Strategist for Piper Sandler, the S&P 500 seems to be have a clear breadth problem. The lowest number of S&P 500 stocks beating the market since March 2000. Why is that significant? What happened in 2000? So this is where all of the return is coming from. This is where all the return is coming from. The rest is what? Struggling. To add to the above, no indicator has been a greater rally to investors over the past century in time. Market. So this is the BS meter. Was out. Market analytics, Crestmont. Now here's their solution. So they're saying right now the market is dangerous or not dangerous. And guys, is this the only thing on the dashboard that's flashing red right now? Is this the only indicator on the dashboard of stock indicators flashing red right now? No, a full 3/4 of all of the indicators are still flashing red, But here's their solution to this. And I've heard this is really starting to irritate the heck out of me because I've heard this in, when I say heard this, I've read this in article after article after article, and they throw out this number. That Crestmont Research examined the effects of time on investing by tabulating the total returns, including dividends, the investor would have netted if they'd purchased this S&P 500 and held that position for 20 years. Guys, how many of our clients can afford to hold wait for the market to return for 20 years? So Crestmont backdated its analysis to 1900, which gave it 104 years of rolling 20-year returns, 1919 through 2022 to sift through. Here's the kicker, and this I've seen this reported over and over. It's like the new talking point for the Wall Street. This is the new talking point for Wall Street. Here's the kicker: all 104 rolling 20-year periods produced a positive total return. Now, guys, are they talking about total return on an annual basis, or that it was higher 20 years later? Are they saying it was a positive yearly or higher 20 years later? Yeah, Nick's got it. Kevin's got it. They're saying, so great. Every single time somebody holds the investment for 20 years, they'll end up with at least a 1% higher return 20 years from now. That's not 1% per year, meaning 20% higher. It means greater than 1% 20 years from now. So as long as you held the position for 20 years, you generated a positive return. Now, for our clients, what's even worse about this? Because 5% of the time, the market only gave a 5% return. Guys, a 5% over 20 years would be how much per year? A 5% rate of return would be how much over the 20 year, or per year over the 20 years? High math. Come on, how much per year? Yeah, about a 0.5%. I'm sorry, about a 0.25%. A 0.25% per year. Now, again, two of you gave the right answer here. Why is this problematic for our clients? For 5% of the people, they only saw a 0.25% per year return. How quickly would they have run out of money in that 20 years? Yeah, withdrawals. That's the problem. So, guys, we're not out of the bear market yet. We don't know when will we know we're out of the bear market? 2 years after we're out of the bear market. So am I saying I tell you this over and over and over because it's amazing when I talk to guys. It's easy for me too. It's a pot calling the kettle black. It's easy to get distracted or to lose your train of thought. I'm talking to guys over and over and over again that they're starting to get back in the market. They think this is the bear market's over. Am I saying to get your money out of the market? No. What am I saying, though, is what? According to Kitces, how much money should you have in your stock market right now? What's the best number? According to Kitces and all the research info have done over the last 100 years, how much money should you have in stocks right now? If you want the highest return possible. I always say 50-50, Dale, but that's not it. That's what Kitces came up with. What's the number that Kitces came up with, guys? I think I've shown that chart or that table at least 5 times in the last 6 months. Very good. Larry's got it. Gigi's got it. Nick's got it. 30%. 30% gives you the highest chance. But if you go no more than 60% of the money in stocks. Yet, guess what? I've talked to guy after guy after guy after guy after guy, and I've been talking about this for how long? And when push comes to shove, guess what I'm hearing them saying? How much money do they have in the market? 60, 50, 40, or the best 30? Guess how much money they have in the market? Closer to 80. Guys, was I right about bonds before everybody else was talking about bonds? Did bonds get killed? And how? I was talking about that 2-3 years beforehand. Nobody believed me. Everybody said, Mike's just a chicken little saying the sky's going to fall. Yet what happened? Guys, when I tell you these things, it's based on a lot of research that I do that please, your clients should not have 70, 80, 90% of the money in the market. They need to have what? 30, 40, 50% of the market, and the other should be in the FIA, okay? So, and that kind of brings up that Jerry actually has talked to Missy and me and pulled us aside and said that he's seeing a huge surge in business based kind of on this. So he's got a great idea that some of our guys are making money hand over fist right now with the environment we're in. So Jerry, I'm sure everybody going into the doldrums of the summer would love to hear this. And does it require any marketing, spending any money on marketing?
No requirement of doing marketing. And go ahead.
Okay, so what is working for guys right now?
I'll tell you.
In a big way, too.
In a huge way. And, you know, Mike, you always talk about research and some of these smart guys out there like Michael Kitces. Another name that we all know is Wade Pfau. And he actually, this exact idea I'm going to give you guys was something that he talked about in an article. I'll have to find it. Probably about 2 weeks ago, he brought up this very point. And what it is right now, because interest rates have gone up so high, which that's part of what caused some issues with bonds there. But with interest rates going up so high right now, we have this crazy environment that we're living in where you can get these really big bonuses, you can get really huge participation rates, caps and rates and everything like that. And then products that are 36 months or older, in some cases it could be 24, but 36 months older, it makes sense now to go ahead and look at those. And because a lot of those were purchased or sold in a lower interest rate environment, you can now sometimes double or even triple the return potential on those products if you go and look at a replacement opportunity to them. And there's no better time, and this is exactly what Wade Pfau said. He said there's no better time than now. In fact, you owe it to your client to go take a look at this and do this for them. In the past, when we would do this, it didn't really work so well. So there's environments and there's timing when these opportunities come up that make them a great opportunity. And this opportunity, it may not be available 2 months from now or 3 months from now. Probably won't be a year from now. I can't say for certain, but I know it ain't forever. And that's because of where we're at with interest rates right now being as high as they are, and you having that opportunity with those caps and rates that you had from a product that's 36 months old to be able to go ahead and replace it. And here's kind of the big change. Right now, we can get, in the past, when you would look at a bonus product, there wasn't enough reason. Sure, the bonus could cover the surrender charge or maybe the market loss or something like that, but you weren't improving on the rates enough for it to ever really make sense. But now, because there's so much yield that's in there on the annuity when they're building it out, if someone could have a upwards of maybe a 10% surrender, and you could have a bonus that could cover that, and they probably have maybe a 2 or 3% S&P cap, or maybe a 70 to a 90% participation rate, you now can completely cover that surrender charge and bring that cap rate up to 7, 8, 9, 10%, or that participation rate up to 100, 150, or 200%. So one of the things that's kind of changed too, I always kind of try to stay on top of, the suitability departments, how the companies are feeling, how the issuance from carriers, what their feelings on this stuff too as well. And so many carriers, they all understand this and recognize this as well. So that's why there's been so many companies that have adjusted their suitability requirements when it comes to this stuff, because they now also look and say, yeah, this actually is a good thing for clients to be able to do, because there's no way otherwise they can't get this value. Why not? Why wouldn't you, if you can go ahead from a 3% cap or 4% or even 5% and I'll trade it in for 9 or 10, why wouldn't you do that? And just to give you an example, for instance, we'll just kind of look down here real quick. Couple options out here. So like F&G, just to give you guys a little idea, I want to find it here. The Performance Pro, I'm having a little trouble finding it on my list of all these products here. But the point I want to make, I guess I don't necessarily need to see it. Maybe I'll eliminate a couple products on here quick, make it easier. The point I wanted to make here, so F&G, they've made a recent kind of change on their suitability here. So the Performance Pro, here it is. So depending on what state you're in, and you guys can always call Matt or myself or Dan, and we'll walk through this with you. And I'll talk about that in more detail in a second here. But it has between a 6 and 15% bonus. Most states, depending on, as long as you're below 75, it's between 11 and a 15% bonus. F&G, they'll take a surrender charge as long as that bonus covers it. They'll take it, and as long as you improve the rates on the contract. So they'll take as high as a 15% surrender charge if you can actually prove and show that you improve the rates. So that's a pretty big move, and it's a great thing for a client when you can actually get them maybe twice the cap rate that they potentially were getting before on it. They got some other great products too as well there, but they look at that strictly as really like a bonus accumulation. Has some good caps and rates on it. Another kind of carrier to be to keep note on here, American Equity. A lot of you guys all know American Equity. They were typically really, really, really tight on that stuff. They have their Asset Shield 10 bonus product here, 10% premium bonus. As long as they'll let you take up to a 4% net loss, because they feel like if you can make the case that the rates are so much better, they're willing to let a client do that. Check it out. I don't know if you can see this here. I apologize. I'm not great at making things bigger. I'll just vocalize it for you. They have a 9% S&P cap. So you may be looking at an old policy that has a 3-4% cap. You can double it by going to American Equity here with their S&P 500. Plus, they have a number of other different index options and things like that you can choose from. And then kind of last but not least too as well, another carrier I always like to kind of point out too is like an Equitrust. They're a great one. Equitrust got some great bonuses. Really any product. Nassau Re has a 10% premium bonus on theirs and great caps and rates. And Athene, depending on the situation, they get a little bit picky sometimes, but depending on what state you're living in, they have upwards of a 20% bonus. It's between 10 and a 20% bonus, and they have caps as high as 8.75%. So because there's so much yield, they can give a bonus out here that can more than cover a surrender charge, and then you can really drastically improve on those rates. Now, most carriers, so in terms of if you're looking at, hey, what's an opportunity, 36 months for most carriers, they want it to at least have been in force for 36 months. And then there's a couple carriers that'll look at 24 months. So you might be asking yourself, all right, well, how do I, work through figuring out what might be the best carrier or product, or what's the right situation for my client that I need to go through on this stuff? Just go ahead. Matt and we've been reaching out to you guys individually just to discuss this stuff if you could. And then we can, just reach out to us too as well. If we haven't reached out to you already.
Can I ask you a question though? Before you do that?
Yeah.
So of all, I know that we talked about this on Friday, of all the people that you've reached out, because you just started this late last week, but of all the people you and Matt have reached out to, how many people didn't find a replacement that they thought was worthwhile?
100% of guys have we been going.
So not a single guy said, "Oh, there's nobody I have."
Not a single guy. We've talked to dozens of people so far. I haven't had a single person. And most people, we're talking multiples of I haven't had an opportunity to go through everyone yet. Like there's multiples of opportunities that are in there.
Yeah, and I'm moving with a 3% surrender charge of $500,000 because of this. So this isn't, like you said, should I wait for 3 months before I change? No, I'm doing it. Why? Because what could happen 3 months from now?
Yeah, it is a timing thing. And 3 months from now, interest rates could change. I mean, all of a sudden, you're kind of talking about opportunity where the market has this chance to dip. If some things start, slipping, all of a sudden we may have an opportunity where they start lowering interest rates out there, and that can very well happen. And then the opportunity's gone. Not to mention the other one could be other guys are out there doing this too as well. So,
right.
If a client runs into someone else and says, "Hey, look, I can improve a situation."
Oh, we have a 3% cap right now.
Cap.
Yeah.
And they come and say, "Hey, I'm not earning anything right now." They could go in there and take advantage of that. So I've been literally, there's a couple ways to go about it. So I've had, randomly people reaching out to me just asking me about it. But if Matt or myself or Dan hasn't reached out to kind of go through this with you, we're willing to. I've hopped on Zoom calls and gone through carrier websites and gone through and looked at the opportunities, which ones were there. We've had guys send us statements over, and we've kind of gone through them. And then we'll go through how to position it and everything. But it's an opportunity. There's timing right now. It doesn't cost money. It's summertime, and this is a great way to start building up. If you've been kind of sitting there thinking, "Hey, I want to do some marketing or I want to do some various things," here's a great way to easily go do that. And then, quite frankly too, there may be some other opportunities. You're talking about the replacement and you're bringing this great opportunity for that client. There's probably some other opportunities that are there that you may need to talk about as well. Just like Mike's talking about, where do we need to be at in terms of equities, 30, 40, 50%.
When you show somebody right now a 9% cap, do you think they might want to move some of their equity money into that?
Big time.
Without you pushing. With
Absolutely.
them saying, well, why couldn't I put some of my other money there? That's what happens. And so, guys, that's the great thing about this is how many clients would be upset, guys, if worst case scenario is to say no. But how many guys are going to be upset when you say, we got a 3% cap right now, but we can get a 9% cap, and you don't take a hit on it all? In fact, you'll end up ahead of the game here because of the bonus. How many of your clients will be upset? Even if they don't do it, how many of your clients would be upset that you showed that to them? And by showing that to them, why have you protected your base? How have you protected your assets? By showing it to them. Jerry just told you this 2 minutes ago. How have you protected your assets by showing it to them? Whether they do it or not, and they're going to do it, but let's say they don't do it. How have you protected your assets by showing it to them? Every single client that has that's right. That's right, Nick. Otherwise, you're preventing it. So you've shown it to them before other people have shown it to them. Sorry, Jerry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's a great point. And the reason, one other kind of thing on this too as well, is the reason why I say, hey, walk through it with Dan or myself or Matt, is because I've had times where I've had guys that have said, oh, this isn't a good opportunity, or this or that, and then I ended up getting to look at it. That advisor was kind of poo-pooing that opportunity, and it was an actual opportunity. So they could have lost out on that one because they just thought, hey, it wasn't good. Even if you thought it wasn't maybe potentially good, let's walk through it and talk about it, and let me at least check the box for you. I would rather us do that, because every now and then I run into one where I'm going through and it's like, that's we can't do something, or that doesn't quite make the criteria, but that's pretty rare right now, as long as we're looking through and there's some little situation, but it's generally I would rather you bring it by me, because I've had it happen more often than not where I've had guys say, I don't think we can do something, but hey, here, take a look at it. And then there was a really good opportunity there for them. So, and it's a good thing for the client. And this is one of those nice opportunities where you have really great news you get to bring. Everybody loves it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I have a product myself that I own that I'm going to replace too as well. And I'm pretty conservative about doing that, but I'm like, why would I? Absolutely, there's no better. If I hold on to the annuity that I have right now until term, and it's got 2 years left on it, I have zero. I don't think that the rates are going to be that good in 2 years. So I'm absolutely losing an opportunity by me not just getting the bonus, being ahead, and getting 3 times the cap that I currently have. I mean, it's a complete no-brainer. So Matt and Dan and I will, you can reach out to us and we can expedite the process, and we can start talking about how this should work. Otherwise, we'll be reaching out to you guys too as well to go over this and to help you guys find those opportunities. So really,
and we had a lot of
deal.
We've had a lot of questions, product-specific questions. So guys, rather than answer all those product-specific questions that you have, and they're all good questions, just get a hold of Matt, get a hold of Jerry, and they can tell you, because it doesn't always work. If they gave you an answer now for your state, it may not be the same in another state. So just give them a holler, and they'll walk you through. We had SILAC, American Equity, F&G. We had a whole bunch of different questions. So just reach out to Jerry and Matt. They can give you the answers.
Yeah, I agree. Mike's absolutely correct, because it is state by state. We'll look at it, and then we'll look at each individual case with it. So we'll spend that time with you. Just reach out to us, say, hey, I want to, put me in line here. I want to start going through these, and we'll go through the specific situations. You got it.
We did have a comment I want to talk about. Extending the surrender period is the only downside. Yeah. Where is most of people's money? Where's most people's money, guys? What kind of accounts? The $500,000 I'm looking at moving, it's my wife's. What account is it in? What kind of account do you think it was in? Yeah, it's in an IRA, Gigi, exactly. So what's the likelihood, Gigi, she's going to pull all that money out? Not very. So if I'm getting a 10% surrender, do you think she's ever going to pull out 10% or more of that money? Now, here's the question, guys. Here's the question. So, Bob, you made that comment. So here's the question. In the FIA presentation, do I go through the surrender period? Do I go through the surrender period thoroughly? How thoroughly do I go through the surrender period in the FIA presentation? Yes, extremely thoroughly. And do I have them tell me that it's more liquid than a money management account? Do I tell them, or do they tell me that it's more liquid than their money management account, than their RIA account? Do they tell me it's more or less liquid? If you guys are scratching your head saying, how can a client tell me that a surrender charge of 10 with a 10-year annuity is more liquid than an RIA account that I can actually pull money out tomorrow. It's time for you to do what? Now, everybody answer this. If you're one scratching your head saying, how could a client ever say that a 10-year surrender with a 10% penalty annuity is more liquid than a money management account they can pull money out anytime they want? If you're scratching your head, what should they do? What should that person do? Yes, Dale, review the presentation. In fact, many of you guys may have came on to our system because you sat there during training when you were evaluating us, and I walked through how I got everybody in the room. I got 35 advisors in the room, not so friendly audience. They would like to take me down a notch, and yet everybody in the room at the end of that part of the presentation about liquidity all said, and 90% of the people in the room were RIAs, said that annuities were more liquid than RIAs. So is that a problem extending the surrender charge, guys? If you do the presentation the right way, who's telling you, hey, this is more liquid than my current equity account? Who's telling you that? If you do the presentation right. Yes, they tell you. Make sense? Because you're right, Bob, that is the only downside. And is it a downside if you do the presentation correct? No. Make sense? So, Jerry, I stepped on your toes again.
No. I was just about closing up there, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome deal. It's a great opportunity. These opportunities when we're in this side of deal where you can make it pretty much a no-brainer for people. It's easy. So give Matt and
when it's a no-brainer, not only is it a no-brainer,
different.
Jerry, how will clients view you guys if you show this to them?
They'll love you. You're doing your job. You're going through and you're doing your job, and they would want to know about this, that there's this opportunity that's there for them to get 2 to 3 times the return on their safe dollars right now. So
because somebody showed it to them other than them, if somebody other than their advisor showed it to them, and then you as their advisor say, well, I can do that too, what are they going to say, Jerry?
Well, then at that point, it feels like, why didn't you just show that to me, right? Are you just sitting back, earning fees on my managed account?
That's right.
Sold me annuity one time. Like, are you really doing? I mean, are you maybe I need to look at another advisor because my guy, he's kind of slipping. He doesn't keep on top of stuff. He's just he's been with me for a while. Maybe we do need to consider someone. So it really does show that you're on top of your game when you're just letting people know, hey, here's the opportunities. If they don't want to do it, that's fine. At least you gave them the opportunity. But I can tell you, in going through with any of the people we've done this with so far, there isn't a single person that says, hey, I don't want to do this, or B, darn it, I got my surrender charge has to go forward another 3 years or 4 years. I haven't ran into it yet, but it's all. We'll help you with that stuff if you run into that.
Coolio. Well, thanks, Jerry.
You got it, man.
So guys, is this a way to make a ton of money, make your clients extremely happy with you, protect your book of business from losing to other people during the summer doldrums? How much time and effort and work will this take, guys, as compared to doing some sort of marketing? Heck, if you do it right, how many boats could you buy this summer? Make sense? So the next thing we want to talk about is estate planning. The reason being is 77% of Americans say estate planning is important to them, according to a 2021 Edward Jones survey. 77% of Americans say estate planning is important. Yet, just 32% of Americans even have a will, let alone more complicated, but only 32% even have a will. That's crazy. So these people are lost in the wilderness. They're lost. They don't know what to do when it comes to estate planning. So the essential elements of estate planning are a will, a power of attorney. Do we cover both those things in a 21-point checklist? Yes, we do. And do we cover other estate planning issues with the survivor's guide, with the quality of life, all those things? Yes, we do. But the other element that I don't spend very much time on is life insurance. Is life insurance a valid estate planning tool? Yes. So consider some things for life insurance. Consider combining a trust with life insurance. It protects the family. If they're business owners, protects the business, and it helps them control how their legacy is distributed. How about second to die life insurance to overcome withdrawals? Because when their kids pull the money out of their IRAs, the kids are going to face a what? Tax. Yeah. So second to die, a way to overcome that. For people who want to do tax planning right now, what can they use for tax planning right now? IULs with tax-free loans, right? In fact, I did a whole call on that earlier this spring, 4/10/23, and how we use IUL as an important tool. How many of you guys, everybody was excited about that software. How many of you actually bought that software and have presented it to people? Here's another huge reason, which is estate taxes. What is the current amount that they can pass on to their kids without estate taxes, federal estate taxes? And if you're in a state like Minnesota, where I'm at, guess how much? How many? We're way lower than the federal. So even if you don't pay federal tax, you're going to pay state inheritance taxes. So what's the current federal tax? Very good. Yes, 12.06, December 31st. 2025, it reverts to $5 million. Do you get grandfathered into that, guys? No. When it turns December 31st, 2025, it reverts to $5 million. With things going the way they are right now, what's the likelihood? What's the likelihood that they're going to allow it to revert? High. That's right. So when should you be doing estate tax planning? Right now. If your clients have more than $5 million, you should be doing it right now. Because let me ask you a question. Why should they be doing it right now? Why not just wait till 2025? That's 2 years from now. Why do it now? Why buy life insurance now if they have an estate tax problem? Or really, any of these ideas. Why should they buy it now if they want to use any of these ideas? Yes, health care changes, right, Bob? Right, Dale? Here's a big one. A recent LIMRA study finds Americans have no clue how to pay for long-term care. 2019, just 12% of people were worried about long-term care. So 2019, even in the middle of COVID, only 12% of people were worried about about long-term care. Guess how many people are worried about long-term care now? 37%. That's 3 times more people are worried about long-term care. Is this an opportunity? You want to know what kind of an opportunity it is? Well, 6 in 10 Americans would consider a combination life insurance with a long-term care component. How many is one of our unique selling propositions about this very thing? Yes, it is. Have you applied for the program that will pay for 2 or more years of your long-term care without expensive annual premiums? That's right. You got it. So, guys, here's the second opportunity you have during the summer. Call your ECA life person. Tell them the kind of clients that you have, and they're going to have ideas that you can present them with. Doesn't matter whether your client wants to do it or not, guys. If you go to your clients with a unique idea to solve a problem that they have, are they going to be mad at you? Even if they don't do it, are they going to be mad at you? Or are they going to be? That's right, Kevin. Are they going to be happy with you? So, Jerry, do you have any ideas on the people or any stories that guys have written life insurance business they hadn't even thought about with their client base? Because again, that's no marketing, right? You're just going back providing more value. Are you going back to sell your client, Jerry, or are you going back to adding more value to your client?
No, we're going back to add more value to the discussion. I mean, you kind of look at, what you're just talking about there with the long-term care situation. I mean, I've ran into situations where guys went ahead. I mean, first of all, just like he says, you can call up your life marketer. If you don't know who that is, I'm going to have them go ahead and reach out to you guys this week too as well. But you can just say, if you don't have this familiarity into it, that's where I want you to really rely on your expert here to help you with that. And they'll give you, you can say, hey, here's my situation, here's who I am. I haven't done a whole lot of life insurance, but what is an idea? What's something that I could go back and talk about that would bring value to my clients, that they'd be happy for me to bring up to them, and that is going to be able to work for a lot of different people. And they'll be able to tell you, they'll give you some unique opportunities for you to keep an eye out for that you may not have been aware of how they work, and then some other opportunities too as well. But I've had situations where guys didn't even realize, but they had clients looking for, some long-term care, and were looking for a real good opportunity, but didn't have a lot of money.
Outside
and then they found
of them.
outside of them, old life insurance policy with some cash in it, and they were able to 1035 that over to a asset-based long-term care policy. So I mean, there's these opportunities that are there. I mean, any statements that you guys have out there. I mean, one thing, if you're a money manager too as well, something to consider with asset-based long-term care is it's kind of a fun deal, and Shane talks about this a lot, where just understanding how by you going and positioning and putting some of this lazy money into an asset-based long-term care policy, you get 3 times leverage on the money. So if 200 grand went in, you're going to earn a bit of interest on it, and then it's going to sit in there and it's worth 600 grand. What you did is not only help the client out there, but you're really insuring their managed their managed money and your managed money, their money, against that long-term care right there for $600,000. And so that's just a little extra motivation there. But there's a lot of different, ideas that I've ran into. I've had guys, meet with a life marketer and find opportunities where they made, $100,000 on a commission that they didn't even realize was possible there. So and I'm not, you can have, you don't have to be a complete expert on life insurance to tap into some of the stuff. That's why we have people that you can visit with. They're going to be able to give you ideas. Maybe it's not everybody's going to be overfunding IUL type of a case, but those are some nice opportunities for tax-free income if people maybe they're a little more cash heavy and they don't have necessarily some IRA dollars, maybe some younger clients that are there. So that's a nice spot, and pretty much that can work for almost any type of person because it is cash. They don't necessarily need to have a huge huge IRA to be able to do something with those people. And the life team, they can get you up to speed on those different opportunities that are there. And there's hidden ones. So just come, get on the phone, kind of like I'm talking about, hey, here's this opportunity for a replacement there. You'd be surprised how many guys call up and just say, hey, Shane, I got it. Here's kind of what are some ideas I need to look for? And he'll be able to give you a couple ideas, and where you can feel like an expert going back to prospects and clients to talk to them about an idea that helps them, helps you show that you actually care and you're out here giving new ideas and how to position that stuff.
Yeah, so so besides all these other ideas, the easiest idea is if they have an old life insurance policy. And how old would have to be, quote unquote, old for them to be worthwhile to look at it, Jerry?
Well, and on that, it might be, I would say, kind of as long as your clients, so you're not going to, the thing about life insurance is, obviously the older you get, mortality gets a little bit tougher. So sometimes it's repositioning to a different option or different item. You'll find if you just ask people, a lot of times they'll have policies that they've had that they maybe didn't even, they kind of forgot about, and there's cash value in there, and it's just kind of in there, but they could probably position it into something that's maybe more of a fit for where their life is right now. So I would say, if you have some things that are a couple years old or whatever that you run into, kind of just like with annuity, it's good to at least talk about, what is their goal for that, and maybe it could be that reposition that into an asset-based policy or something like that could end up being a better fit for them. And maybe there's, a lot lower COI inside of that type of a policy versus an IUL, or maybe it's, if they're a little bit younger, maybe they want to be able to have some long-term care on a policy and they got something that didn't have long-term care on the policy. So, if it's, 4 or 5 years old, it's worth having a discussion about it to see, what some of the other options or items might be out there for them. And sometimes it's looking at it and them realizing they're like, gosh, I don't. Sometimes it's you're looking at it from a life perspective, but it turns into an annuity case because all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you know what, I had been funding this thing, it had been really kind of good for me, but I'd really like to put it to work another way for me. And you might look at it might end up being an annuity or something like that. Because I do run into sometimes people they're like, yeah, I'd rather just put that to work in another way. So it can be I would say things that are maybe 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old at minimum.
Cool, awesome. So guys, and you said that the life guys will reach out to everybody here in the next week or so? Just to
I'll reach out to you guys. Yeah, if you don't know who your person is, you can give, obviously us a call, but I'm going to have them reach out to you guys and say hello to you, introduce themselves if you don't know who they are, and then you can kind of pick their brains, and I'll have them drop some ideas on you guys.
So guys, there's 2 ideas that are low-key, no marketing costs. You're providing value to your clients as well, keeping them in the fold. So please, please, please take a look at those things seriously, okay? Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So now on our journey of the 21-point checklist, Chris, we're going to talk about investment weighting. Whoopsie. Investment weighting. So the first thing we're going to talk about is let them know that when we give them difficult words like correlation, apologize. So, that's just a fancy word for growth, or what's not correlation, I'm sorry, but fancy word for growth versus safety is preservation. So everything, is everybody the same? If we have a bell curve, how do people stack up? Are you wild and crazy? Are you stick in the mud? Give them something that they can say, I'm not that person, I'm somewhere in between. So these are all things. And again, is this something you can have right on a sticky note on your 21-point checklist? Yes, you can, and they actually respect you for having those notes. So let's take a look at how we're going to cover investment weighting in a 21-point checklist. So I have to get an escape here. And we'll find investment weighting, turnover, there, interest rate volatility, investment weighting.
Money.
Apparently.
Right.
So the next thing you want to look at is the weighting of your portfolio, okay? Are you doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yep.
Okay. So weighting, investment weighting is simply a fancy schmancy term for growth versus safety.
Okay.
So is everybody the same?
No.
No. Everybody's going to be a little bit what?
Oh, they're going to be different.
Yeah, and the way I look at that is kind of, have you ever heard of a bell curve?
Mm-hmm.
So we do a bell curve. Everybody's not the same no matter what we're talking about. For example, if we're going to run a race with a bunch of 50-year-old men,
mm-hmm.
Are they all going to be the same speed?
No.
Is everybody going to finish line at the same time?
No.
Would there be a handful of guys that would be super fast?
Oh, yeah.
And would there be a handful of stragglers that would finish way after everybody else?
Yep.
But where would most people be?
In the middle.
In the middle. Is that the way kind of life works?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The same thing with investing. What they found is some people are wild and crazy, aggressive. They'll take their Social Security check, go down to the casino, roll the dice on it, and hope to double it. Those are the wild, crazy people. There's also people who stick in the mud conservative that'll take their investments and they'll put it into a saving account making 0% interest. So why do I say the wild and crazy people are going to go down and gamble with it, and then the other people are going to put it underneath their bed or in a 0% account? Why do I say that thing? How many people are then going to identify themselves as either one of those people? What percentage of people would say, yeah, I'm the wild and crazy person that takes all my money down to the casino and puts it on the roulette to double it? How many people say I put all my money into the mattress? Those people are never going to even come to see you. So they're going to all identify themselves as in the middle, which is the people we want to work with. I mean, or 0.1%. Mm-hmm. Are there interest rates? But you don't tell them they're in the middle. They have to tell you they're in the middle. They're reasonable people. It's out there that low.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll do that. But are most people going to be wild and crazy, stick in the mud conservative? Most people are going to be what?
In the middle.
Now, in the middle, do some people kind of move a little bit to the more aggressive and some people move a little bit to the conservative?
Yeah.
But they're not the wild and crazy or the stick in the mud.
Right.
Yeah. So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, economists realize that. So they have a thumb rule for the wild and crazy and stick in the mud, or the vast majority of the middle, you think?
The vast majority.
These people can't be helped.
Okay.
But the people in the middle, the reasonable people, they still have a thumb rule, knowing that some people can be a little bit more aggressive, some people more conservative. And it is down here.
Okay.
Aggressive investor
they feel would be 120 minus your age,
Mm-hmm.
the average age of you and your spouse, and you're 68 years old, so that would be what?
52%
That's if you're what?
aggressive.
If you're conservative, they say it'd be 100 minus your age, 68, which means what?
32%.
So they're saying there's still a 20% difference in how much you would have in growth as a more aggressive and growth as a more conservative.
So guys, even using that formula, which is not the Kitces table, even using that formula, which is not the Kitces table, are we in the right ballpark? 30% to 50% in equities. Is it putting us right where we need to be? Yes, it is.
Okay.
But obviously, in the 21-point checklist, do we want to put all on the table? It's going to take us 15 minutes to explain, or is it better just to do this? How easy is it for people to understand this formula? 120 versus 100 minus their age, or 100 minus their age. How easy is it for them to get that as compared to the table? Much easier. So you just do that here until they become a client.
So is everybody the same? Or they're saying even if you're in this group here, the reasonable people, you're still going to be a little bit of what?
There's going to be some difference.
And 20% difference is not really as small. It's a good chunk or not a good chunk?
It's a pretty good chunk.
Pretty good chunk. Now, why do they have these rules? Think about it. We said nobody's the same.
Right.
So let's say we have a 10-year-old and we have a 9-year-old. Do they have the same concerns?
No.
No. Is the 10-year-old paying for room, board, anything?
No.
So is he really worried about how much if his money goes down next week or not?
No, he's not paying anything.
Again, I'm not talking about his allowance. I'm talking a big chunk of money that he inherited. Is he really worried about what's happening with that money tomorrow or next week?
No.
But is he worried about how much college is going to cost 10 years from now, or a car is going to cost 10 years from now?
Should be, yeah.
So is he more worried about the safety of his money or the growth of the money?
He's more worried about the growth.
To keep up with what?
Inflation.
Inflation. Now, the 9-year-old, are they worried about being able to pay for college 10 years and when they're 100 years old? Are they worried about anything 10 years down the road?
No.
But are they worried about having the money they need right now with no stress in their life to pay for things in a week or a month?
Yeah, they're worried about that.
So they're more worried about inflation, or they're more worried about safety?
More worried about safety.
They're more worried about safety. Now, you're neither 10 nor 90. You're right dab in the what?
We're in the middle.
Middle. So why are these numbers right dab in the middle?
Because that's where most people are.
That's where you are, and that's what's according to age. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So when we looked at your portfolio, we found out that your percentage was 100% at risk. Now that, until 5 minutes ago, might have confused you because you thought bonds were what?
Safe.
And you do have 40% of your money in bonds. But we found out those bonds were safe or not safe?
They're not safe.
They're not safe. So we're finding out what percentage of your portfolio is safe right now.
Really nothing.
None. And where should you be?
Well, somewhere between, around 42%.
Yes, somewhere between 42%, right? So, and does that make sense? Because let's say that we wanted to go for broke and have all of our money at risk. So what would you say if I said, we're going to have a coin here, okay, and we're going to flip it.
Okay.
If you call it right, let's say it's heads. If you call it heads, I'm going to give you twice as much of everything. How many cars do you own right now?
2.
Instead of 2, I'm going to give you 4 cars.
Okay.
How many houses do you own right now?
Just the one.
Okay, and instead of 1 house, I'm going to give you 2 houses.
Okay.
When you go out to eat, you're going to get 2 meals instead of 1 meal.
Okay.
Now, that might be okay, but do you really need that?
No.
Is that going to change your lifestyle at all?
No.
Might even add some what?
That'd just be more problems.
But here's the other thing. It might be okay to do that, but if you flip the coin and you call it wrong, what we're going to do is we're going to cut your lifestyle by 1/3 for the next 10 years. Are you going to take that bet?
No, I'm not.
Why? I wouldn't either.
Well, because...
Getting more is good.
Yeah,
But what?
I don't want to lose anything that we already have.
Yeah. So why do we have a balanced portfolio?
Well, so that we don't have to worry about these wild swings one way or the other.
And right now, do we have a balanced portfolio?
No.
No. So what do you think in these numbers? You more aggressive, in the middle, conservative? Which one of these numbers would fit you better?
I'd say in the middle.
Middle, so that would be
42.
42%. We'll put that down here so I can remember that. Now, you did or did not want a balanced portfolio?
No, we do.
You do. So what do we have right now?
It's pretty overweighted.
It is overweighted, isn't it? So is it balanced or unbalanced?
It's unbalanced.
Unbalanced. And do you want to pay high fees or low fees?
No, we want to pay low fees.
Want to pay low fees, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Why would we end up? Why would we end up where we are right now? We said here just 5 minutes ago that if you were in truly guaranteed things, there'd be how many fees?
Little or none.
No, none. So if this was 40% of your portfolio, and you were in truly safe things that had no fees, how would that affect your advisor?
I'd make 40% less.
So you want more or less balance,
We want more balance,
more or less fees.
less fees.
So you're paying more for what you truly want, or the opposite of what you truly want?
The opposite of what we want.
And why is that happening?
Well, he's trying to make more money for himself.
Yeah. I mean, are you okay?
Guys, do I use that same two things? Here's what you have, and here's the fees on everything from 10-year to risk to volatility to all of it. Do you see how I'm constantly saying, look, here we have what you thought, in this case it's balanced portfolio, and you want a balanced portfolio, and you want to pay lower fees. And instead, you've got an unbalanced portfolio and paying higher fees. 10-year, you want a guy with a lot of experience or low experience. I want a guy with a high experience. But instead, you've got a guy with what? Low experience. Because that, you're paying higher fees, or you're paying higher fees. So see how I'm having them visualize in their head every single one of these items. They got the opposite of what they want, and they're paying more for that thing they didn't want. Do you see why we're doing that on every single script with the green arrows and the red arrows? Does that make sense?
Okay with me reviewing these things with you?
Well, yeah, I mean, we need to see. I mean, we need to know.
Okay. I don't want to overstep.
No.
Because we're just doing we're doing the house inspection right now.
Right.
And we're finding right now that
There's problems.
yes. So the next thing.
You see how I checked in with him and made sure that he's not getting mad at me for hammering the guy? Did he say it was okay to point out these things at this point? So I'm just checking in to make sure they're saying, no, this is good. I need to know this. And did I get him to say that it was the advisor's fault and the reason the advisor did this? Did I tell him, or did he tell me? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of this script, the waiting script? What is the purpose of the waiting script? He found out that he thought he had a 60-40 portfolio. He found out he had a 100 risk, 0 safety portfolio. What's the purpose of the script? Dale's got it right. What's the purpose of the script? Bob's got it right. What's the purpose, guys? Is the purpose to show them that they don't have a 60-40 portfolio? No. Who can fix that? Their guy. The purpose of this is just, it's one more thing the guy did not tell them, information withheld, and the reason he withheld it is to make more money on them. The only thing any of these scripts is proving is their guy cannot be trusted. Make sense? Cool. So we have 5 minutes to the hour. Thanks for being on. We've given you some great ideas, didn't we? Did you say A or nay, Y or N? Did we give you some ideas to make some good money over the summer with no cost, no hassle, no work, basically? So please follow through. Talk to Matt, talk to Dan, talk to Jerry, talk to your life guy. Go out, be of service to your client, provide value to your client, and make some money yourself. That's a win-win. And then we'll go ahead and start at like a minute after the top of the hour to dive into this script more in depth with the script workshop for those of you that are going to be on it. And for those that you will not, I will talk to you all on Monday. Have a great week. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.